So finishing up that thought here on the transgenders being banned from the military. Look, he didn't do it in a vacuum. He didn't do it unilaterally. It came with consultation with the generals, okay, that know what's best, okay. And if this is what's best for the military, that's good. Okay, defense is good. I am not anti-military. I'm not anti-defense. Okay, I'm anti-dubious war. But when it comes time to kicking somebody's ass like Stalin or Pol Pot or Hitler or any of the other tyrants, okay, Kim Jong-un, I mean, we want a strong military. We want to know that we can kick butt, but we don't want to get involved in entanglements, just like it's talked about is that we don't need to get involved in these entanglements in foreign affairs when our own house is in such disorder. We didn't need to go into Vietnam, okay? We don't need to be involved in the Middle East. There's a lot of wars that we don't need to be involved in, okay? But, so I'm on the side of all the troops. I don't blame them for getting involved in these wars. It's just that we've got to know that there's people that have monetary interests, okay, particularly the banking industry, who's loaning us the money to go to these wars because we all know America's some $20 trillion in debt. So there's monetary incentive, just like Eisenhower warned about. I mean, I'm not being cynical to say that. So all the troops need to understand what we're up against here. And what we're up against is monsters that would, because you want to go to, if I'm going to war and I'm going to risk life and limb out there, I'm going to be told I got to kill people. I sure as hell want to know it's for the right cause. I want to make sure that God is backing me up on this deal, okay? Because otherwise, and I don't mind going, okay? Even though I'm a pacifist, that just means I hate violence and that I'm the last guy that's going to act violently, that's going to love being violent, okay? But there is people that do love violence. But I'm opposed to violence. And I believe that we don't... someday we're not going to be, it's not going to be like that on earth. There's not going to be any violence. There's not going to be any wars. There's not going to be any national debt. Okay, there's not going to be crime. There's not going to be Satan. There's not going to be money. There's not going to be abortions. There's not going to be a need for social welfare entities. But there's a lot of people doing a lot of jobs that are very important. Okay, you do things in an orderly fashion. If we're going to get people off welfare, then we need to understand the implications thereof. You're going to create unemployment, okay, because there's going to be a lot of social workers that are going to lose their jobs. Do you understand how profound the madness is? Say, wait a minute, these people had jobs to help the poor people, but if they're not going to be needed to help the poor people, they're going to be poor because they're going to be out of work. And people just can't find jobs, and not every single industry out there needs more workers, okay? People, they're saturated. We all know that. I mean, pick up a phone book, go to Las Vegas and pick up a phone book of attorneys. It's an inch thick, and these are full-page ads we're talking about. It'd be like winning the lottery for somebody to call you out of the blue that you're going to... that needs you to represent them, okay? So it's like that in society. I mean, is there work for professional ball players? There's plenty of jobs that people might want that are saturated. You say, oh, well, settle for something else. Really? Who are you, God? You my conscience? No, people got to decide for themselves what they want to do with their lives. Whatever you decide to spend your life doing, you might do many different things with your life. That's good, too, to serve humanity in many different ways. Like making these videos I do. This is the best way I think I serve humanity, okay? And I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way, okay? It's not, the job I do as a landscaper in the scheme of things is not all that important, although we know all through history the kings of the earth, the queens of the earth, the noblemen and the elite, they've all loved this above all. So, historically, it's very valuable trade I have, that you're wanted. Because people love the beauty of a garden. Who doesn't? And they don't want to do all the manual labor entailed, and I like that. I don't have to go to a gym and get a workout. I can be a tough guy and get paid for it. Okay? I like it. I like being an artist. I like to make something that doesn't look so good. I like to make it look better. You clean things up, okay? That's what a gardener does. He does his things and beautifies things. So it's aesthetically pleasing, as accepted as a consensus on a universal level. We all agree a garden is beautiful, and the well-kept rose plant is more beautiful than one that's neglected, okay? It's just the way it is. So You should do what you want with your life, okay? And nobody should tell you, well, what you do isn't important, because I know what I do is important. It's important to the soul, okay? Because when you appreciate beauty, when you see beautiful things, it satisfies your soul. It brings you joy in that sense. So gardens, that's why they're appreciated by people all through the ages. People that have all the means out there, that are very well heeled, these kings and the elites of the earth, the noblemen, that they value this thing too. Because simple people like gardens too. Probably some of the nicest gardens in the world are just simple yards that people have really gotten into. They really were enthusiastic about beautifying their yard, and they created an awesome garden. And so it's a kind of an instinct with humans. But that was, just on jobs are important, and that won't be someday, okay? But you can understand the far-reaching, dramatic, profound implications, ramifications of fixing problems. Just think of all the people that would be out of work if you just ended desperate, extreme poverty. No more need for social welfare workers. Crime would plummet. Just think of all those people that are unemployed just in those two facets alone. Okay, the dubious warfare industry. Okay, a lot of people are going to be out of work if we're not starting up wars and they're not made to be relevant. The debt industrial complex, 25% of Americans employed in the financial services industry, the abortion providers, the prostitution, the drugs, illicit and legal drugs, controlled substances, all this crap, all these things. Just think about all those people that are unemployed. If you just fix that one problem of extreme desperate poverty, because I'm not even saying that we're going to succeed at ending all poverty, because some people, no matter how much they have, they're just going to spend it. They're just, so they're always going to be poor. And I might even be one of those people that's in that category. Because to me, the best thing that you can ever do with money is spend it. I mean, it's what makes sense. But, I'm not a big saver. Anyhow, that's enough said on that. But, so I'm sorry about this long pause, but I'm just looking over my notes from current events from this past week. Make sure I'm not repeating anything I've already reported on here. Oh, there's talk about happiness again and how actually money does bring you happiness. But this time, in the context of how it was reported that, well, those that can afford to hire people to do jobs that free up their time, that's a good thing. So, I'm not against prosperity. I'm not against employers and people being able to hire people to do jobs. I'm one of those people. Okay, so I depend on people that are good at making money so that I can have a few bucks to pay my bills. Okay, so I get the symbiotic nature of employer-employee relationships. And that's why I want the best for everybody. I want everybody prosperous. But it can't be just a select few. I can't be rah, rah, rah. This guy's all rich and well heeled and he's got this great advantage, and so he's privileged in this regard. Gets special treatment, kid gloves from everybody. But, this guy's got the shaft, okay? I'm against that. Very much so. And I'm not going to go too much into that because everybody knows the way I report stuff that, where I'm coming from. A bicyclist was hit and killed by a vehicle locally here. Messed up. A train hit somebody. This is happening fairly regularly. I don't report it that often, but they say it's usually suicide or somebody's not paying attention. I don't know how you can't hear a train coming, but it's messed up. Why people are killing themselves. They're losing their will to live. What's making their lives such drudgery and hard? Student debt. Got a lot of it's a student town here in Chico with the Chico State University. I don't know. A lot of them young people. But whatever it is, we were all too stressed out, man, and it's fear. It's fear. Who's putting that stress? Who's telling you got to be in fear? If I had my way, man, I'd go out and I'd take everybody's stress away, man. I'd set everybody free. I just love being that person. And I'd recommend everybody be that person. Say, if you had your way, it'd be God's way. And if it was God's way, here's how it would be. It's not hidden. It's right out there in the open. It's good news, man. It's good news for everybody, unless you're evil. Okay? And then you'd be very unhappy living in the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven. Once it's established on earth, that's why God has to separate the wicked from the righteous. Okay? Because the bullies now would be miserable in a world they didn't have the advantage, the upper hand, the one-upmanship on other people. So of course they have to be separated. Can all those combined best parents I talked about earlier, do they have a better idea, suggestion for how to fix this thing? You've got to at some point put your foot down. Separate the wicked from the righteous, the bullies from the non-bullies, and just let the non-bullies be free. Live together in peace and harmony, safety and security and freedom and prosperity for everybody around them. Everybody there in that place has to be free. It's not a mystery. God He wants us to know Him. And how are we going to know Him unless it's spelled out for us? It's very clear. It's unambivalent. There's a business, I forget what it was, that's where people are getting voluntarily microchipped. It's messed up. The mark of the beast, huh? It's here. This technology is here. But I say, they're putting it in the hands right now. What stops somebody from cutting their hand off and they're using it to lock the door to the business and using that microchip to get into the business? Nothing that I know of. I mean, I don't know. Is it temperature sensitive so you can warm up the hand? I don't know. Men's sperm count is down, probably from the toxins in the food and the water and the air. Part of the population control program, I guess. It's not freaking me out too much about these sperm counts. Maybe it should, but it's like 40% less than it was, a decade now? Maybe it was longer than that. I forget what the report says, 50 years or something. But remember that God's in control of our fertility ultimately, and that, if he says the earth is populated enough, then he could pull the plug on our fertility, and maybe it's God acting. I don't know what's going on. This is some pretty heavy stuff when we're talking about sperm counts and stuff. So I'm not freaked out about it, but who knows? Maybe I should be freaked out about it. Okay, I'm going to go into some thoughts from this past week. And I was thinking that as I walked out the door this morning, I thought to myself, God, I'm a needy bastard. And then I thanked God for life, took a deep breath, and accepted the exhilaration associated with human existence. It's not easy being a human, okay? That's why we need to have respect for each other, okay? Just the way you want to be respected and accepted, okay, we have to do that for each other. Any one of us could be dead today. That's worthy of respect to anybody. Anything you say to somebody, you might not be able to retract later. So be very careful. It starts in the heart and mind. And then out of the overflow, it comes out of our mouths. And that's how we defile ourselves according to Jesus. And as we judge others, we too shall be judged. So let's remember these things about how we think. Homelessness is not caused from a shortage of housing, rather by a lack of affordable housing. It's all about money. It's political. It's not a Democrat or Republican thing. That is what is so sick about this. When I got into real estate, my goal was to get into developing truly affordable housing where working class, blue-collar people on a minimum wage job could afford to be homeowners once again. That was my dream. And then I realized the obstacles, the roadblocks in my way, and all the resistance. how controversially it was to do such a thing. And not Republicans. It wasn't the Republicans that were against me or the Democrats. It was the politicians. And the politicians are all about money and their constituency. Okay, because it is antithetical to people that want housing prices high to offer truly affordable housing. Is that hard to understand? Is that rocket science? Is that brain surgery? No. No, folks. But it is sinister. It is sick and perverted. It's ungodly. It's unholy. It's evil. And it sickens me to my core. And anybody that's against affordable housing, repent or perish, best thing I can tell you. Because you will go to hell. Okay? If you want for you and your family one thing, but you're not willing to allow other people and their families to have that thing, that's evil. Contrary to popular belief, we don't own our possessions, rather our possessions